We can all fall into the trap of comparison. I do, and I know you do. It's kind of our human nature, unfortunately. Hello, friend. If you're new here, my name's Zach. And the problem with comparison is that when we compare, someone always loses. Today we're going to discuss why comparison is so dangerous and 4 steps that help me not to compare to others. When we are in comparison, we are putting ourselves in the seat of judgment. And I don't know which side of the comparison judgment you get into, but it's one of 2 sides, right? We either compare that someone else has something more and we're looking up to them in jealousy, wishing that was ours, wishing we could have those traits or things, or we're looking down. We're putting ourselves in this self-righteous state, and both are not okay. In fact, there's only one that sits in the seat of judgment, and it's not you or I, it's God. Reminded me of the movie Evan Almighty, where he thinks he can do God's job, but
prayer Post-its.
You and I sometimes wish we could, right? It wouldn't end well. And really, when we get in this moment of comparison, we lose sight of God. We lose sight of others, and we're treating them like an object. We lose sight of ourselves. In this moment of comparison, we're in sin. I think sometimes we try to make it sound more sugary than that. But we are. We're in this moment of sin that we need to notice we're there, right? It's sinful whether we're coveting what someone else has, it means wanting to have for ourselves, or we're thinking we're better than someone. Both are sinful postures. So just notice that we're doing that. No shame, but it is something that we need to confess to God and ask for His forgiveness with. I had to do this morning, by the way, where I was wishing I had someone else's gift that God gave them. And the reason that was sin for me this morning is I wasn't honoring how God made me. And I was thinking somehow I knew better than God. The arrogance. But here's 4 things that will help you and I compare ourselves a lot less. Number 1, get off social media. I guess you could classify YouTube as social media too. I don't know. I put it in a different category. Unless I'm comparing. And sometimes I watch other YouTube videos in comparison. See, social media is not bad in and of itself. It's just being aware of how are you watching something. See, sometimes I watch other people's videos on YouTube and I'm there to learn. I'm there to grow. I'm watching how they do stuff and how they tell stories and the nuance, or I'm trying to learn something else, or I'm just being entertained. But there's other times where I watch someone's YouTube videos and I'm like, how the heck do they have that many followers? How have this many views? Why are they doing this? Why are they not doing that? It's a really holy place to be. Sarcasm deeply intended. And when I get in those moments, I need to be aware of it and turn it off because it's not helping my soul. It's actually getting my soul all tied up in ungrateful knots is what it's doing. Same thing for you. If you're on Instagram and you're comparing your body to someone else's body, or your words to someone else's words, or your vacations to someone else's vacations, or your car to someone else's car, or house to someone else's house, or job to all the things that we can compare. If you notice it's a stumbling block, chop it off. Remove it. Try using it less. If that doesn't work, remove it. I haven't been on Facebook in a few months. I haven't been on Instagram for a few months. And I've been happier. Because for me, those were places where I would get caught in comparison. Sometimes thinking I was more holy than thou, and other times wishing I had what others had. Both sin. Number 2, serve others. It's hard for us to compare when we're in this service realm. And sometimes we can get so self-focused that's why we're stuck in this comparison trap, because we've made our world all about us and building our kingdom. life is so much more than our kingdom. It's all about God's kingdom. And we're reminded of that when we have a true heart of service. If you're serving to get, that's not going to get you there. But if you're serving to serve God and what He's called you to, and you start serving others, you will be amazed at how your comparison will fall away and gratitude will bubble to the surface. Speaking of gratitude, that's number 3. Practice gratitude. Sometimes it's serving. Sometimes it's writing down what you're grateful for. If you cannot come up with a few things right now to write down what you're grateful for, that's a problem. That is a huge problem. Comparison's kind of like the warning light on the car telling you to change oil because it's going to burn up eventually. And so gratitude, when you can't come up with these things you're grateful for, it is a sign that you are blind to your life. You're watching this video, you have internet. You could write that down if you're grateful for that. You also happen to have electricity, sitting in a warm house. Got a wife that loves me. I have kids when I wanted kids in my past, and that was a struggle. Sitting in a comfortable chair. It doesn't need to be big things. You're breathing. Many people would want what you and I have. And the practice of gratitude reminds us that there's things we used to beg God for in our lives that we now take for granted because we get so fixated on the one thing we do not have. Have you noticed that? When you get in comparison mode, it's just one thing that you gotta have, and then your life's gonna be better. It's not. Gratitude reminds us that we should be grateful today, and then if we have that one thing that we're just coveting, that we gotta have, we can be grateful then too, if we're practicing gratitude on the way. Practicing gratitude is practice. It is not natural for you and I. It's natural for you and I to take the things in our lives for granted. So be kind to yourself. But remember, practice it. Number 4, pray. God is the miracle worker. We can muster up so much self-will, but it ends. It might be you're not going to compare for an hour. Or maybe you can make it 2 days. Or you're really good, it's a few weeks. But all I know for sure is your willpower has nothing compared to God-powered. And when we pray, when we go to the feet of Jesus and ask Him for help in comparison, or ask Him to remind us of what He's already given us, it's in those moments where it supercharges our gratitude and comparison just falls away. See, a lot of times when I'm in a comparison mode, my prayer starts out as confession of sin, thankfulness for what He's given me, and then praying for Him to have willpower to stay focused on the things in my life so that I steward those well, not on the things that He has not given me. Because we like to waste a lot of brain power on what ifs and things that we do not have. And it's in prayer He reminds us of the things He has given us, in both grateful and in stewarding. I hope that this video helps you to stop comparing and start walking in gratitude. Because you and I are blessed, my friend, and I hope you see it today.